You may be aware that Harry Kane has just won his first major trophy in his career. Finally. It absolutely hasn't been the subject of ridicule and bants online at all. But the irony is not lost when he moved to Bayern to win trophies, and Bayern finished outside the top 2 in the league for the first time in 13 years. Then to top it off, he got to the Euros final, but did what he does best, lose a major final, making it 6 losses in major finals. Until now, look at that smile, bless him. And as a Harry Kane mega fan, I wanted to take a look at the best players to never win a trophy in their careers. For this, I'm looking at major trophies, so lower league trophies aren't included. And I'm not including Kane, even though he won the Bundesliga, which still isn't a trophy, it's a shield. And in any case, I'm not including players who are still playing, so no space for Son either. As I rank the 8 best players to never win a major trophy, starting with number 8. Number 8, Luigi Di Biagio. We kick off this list with a pretty fine midfielder who had a pretty fine career, unless you consider major trophies, because Luigi didn't have any. Good enough to play for some rather decent teams in the 80s, 90s and early 2000s, such as Lazio, Roma and Inter among others. In his career he finished second best in the Serie A, Cup and Super Cup, all with Inter, and to really show his luck, Inter were even top of the league going into the last game of the season, but still finished third, even with Ronaldo, Vieri and Recoba. But he played in a brilliant Italy team, surely he won something with them. He played in the 98 World Cup and had a good tournament up until he missed a decisive penalty in the shootout in the quarter-final. Played in the 2002 World Cup where Italy were knocked out in a completely fair and not at all controversial match against Korea. And he even got to the final in Euro 2000 where he finished, you guessed it, runner-up. And to top it all off and show how he's runner-up for everything, he's even joint second in the list of most red cards in Serie A history. Numero 7. Juraj Bastürk. We continue the list with the Blackburn legend Bastürk, who finished 9th in the Ballon d'Or back in 2002 ahead of Del Piero, Ronaldinho and Figo, as he helped Turkey to 3rd at the World Cup. Unfortunately for him at the time, he was playing for the unluckiest team in existence, as before the tournament he was part of the Bayer Leverkusen team who finished 2nd in the League, Cup and Champions League all in the same season. Despite those 45 minutes for Blackburn, he played all of his career in Germany, the country of his birth, and in his day was a quality midfielder with a lovely touch and dribbling ability. Number 6. Antonio Di Natale. It seems a little harsh putting Di Natale at number 6, a player who has scored a similar amount of goals as other Italian legends such as Totti, Inzaghi, Immobile and Roberto Baggio, but I think that's testament to the other 5 above him in the list. No player has banged in more goals for Udinese, and only 5 players have scored more in Serie A history. He started at Empoli but left the sinking ship when they were relegated in 2004, joining Udinese where, as they say, the rest is history. After a few prolific seasons, during which he finished runner-up for the ESM Golden Shoe, only 5 behind Messi, he hit the 3rd best strike rate in Europe in 2011, only behind those 2 from Barca and Madrid. Udinese were never front runners for trophies, so his best chance at silverware was a stacked Italy team, but it never panned out that way for him. In the 2008 Euros he missed a penalty in a shootout in the quarter-final against Spain. In the 2010 World Cup he scored, but Italy finished bottom of the group, and in Euro 2012 he scored the only goal that Spain conceded in the whole tournament in the group, but Spain got their revenge by hammering Di Natale and Italy 4-0 in the final, and he retired from international football after the match. Number 5. Tom Finney. Considered by some to be one of England's greatest players with a strike rate not far off a goal every 2 matches, again it seems a little harsh sticking the Preston legend so low. But it's just a different era now and they're not hugely comparable, as evidenced by the fact he joined Preston after applying to an advert in the newspaper. At a time when various countries around the world were dropping bombs on each other, Finney was dropping bombs in the league, being a regular scorer for Preston before he was sent to Egypt for military service. As a result of the war, it wasn't until over 6 years later he made his official league debut where he played on the wing and scored the winner. Later that season he played his first England match where he scored against Ireland and at one point was England's record goal scorer. He's still joint 7th on that list now, even though retired in 1958. He also works as a plumber to supplement his football wages and became known by the really imaginative nickname of the Preston Plumber. But when in full flow, Preston didn't sink thanks to his goals as they were able to tap into that excellent goal scoring ability. But these efforts never drained him as he plugged goals consistently, only losing the title in 1953 on goal average to Arsenal, so all their hard work went down the toilet. And there was more agony in the pipeline as they lost the FA Cup final the following season as West Brom washed them away 3-2. Thomas would live to the ripe old age of 91 before he died in 2014, 10 years after a statue of him was unveiled outside the Preston Stadium. Numero 4. Bernd Schneider. There can't be many unluckier players than Schneider. Runner-up in the Champions League, German Cup twice, Bundesliga twice, and the World Cup, and 3rd place in another World Cup and the Confederations Cup. His unluckiness makes Harry Kane look like a trophy-hunting monster. He's perhaps best known for over 360 matches with Bayer Leverkusen, which was hardly going to work, was it? A team not historically known for winning things, but nonetheless a quality player who at one point was essential for both club and country. And just like Basturk earlier in the list, he also finished in the 2002 Ballon d'Or list level with Vieira, Cafu and Valeron. Injuries knackered him up later in his career and he retired with 81 caps to his name. And at least he managed to make it into the Bundesliga team of the season twice and made it to 35 before retiring in 2009. Number 3. Matt Le Tissier. Le God. There's a reason Southampton fans call him Le God and why he was a childhood hero of Xavi. Not everyone's a fan these days due to some of his views, shall we say, but Le Tissier was an absolute footballing maverick and became the first midfielder to hit 100 goals in the Premier League, even scoring 25 in the league back in '94 from midfield. His goals were an absolute highlight reel, and he won goal of the season in '95 for an outrageous 40-yarder against his old mate Tim Flowers in the Blackburn goal, despite Flowers calling it a complete fluke, and he scored twice against Man United in '86 and in a result which got United manager Ron Atkinson the sack.
Thank you very much, lads. See you later.
A fact he basks in big letters in his book. So those who never saw him play might be wondering why he only won 8 England caps, but his international career is one of life's mysteries. Firstly, he wasn't even born in England, born in Guernsey, and throughout his career Le Tissier stayed relatively faithful to Southampton, and at the time England managers were less likely to pick players who didn't play for a fashionable team. He was also considered quite lazy, as although he could quite easily dribble past a couple of players and smash in a worldie from 35 yards, let's just say that the defensive side of his game was a little lacking. He needed a free role, which is something England managers with all the scrutiny on them were unlikely to give him. And to top it all off, he played around the same time as Paul Gascoigne did in the same position, which is a shame as Le Tissier was an absolute game changer and even has a half decent penalty record, scoring 47 out of 48 of them, which would have been very useful in France '98, a tournament he wasn't picked for despite scoring a hat-trick in a reserve match before the tournament. So with his loyalty to Southampton, it was very fitting that his last goal for the Saints ended up being the last goal at their old stadium, the Dell, before they moved to St Mary's. So why didn't he move clubs?
You assume that everybody goes into football because they want to win trophies. I didn't. I always viewed football as an entertainment industry. And my first thought when I go out on a football pitch is, I want to entertain people today.
Le Tissier was an absolute footballing genius, and it's a tragedy that he didn't play more for his country or come close to winning any silverware with Southampton. Number 2. Giuseppe Signori. Like Di Natale earlier in this list, Signori is also on the top 10 Serie A scorers of all time, sneaking in at 10th place level with Gilardino, although with much less matches needed to hit the 188 goals. And his scoring rate was a big middle finger to Inter, who released him as a youth. He was apparently too small to make it as a pro. He won the Serie A Golden Boot 3 times, which puts him level with legends such as Gigi Riva, Michel Platini and Giuseppe Meazza. And you know Meazza's good because he was named after a football stadium, and he took a mean dead ball and is one of only 2 players to score a hat-trick of free kicks in a Serie A match. See if you can name the other player in the comments. But despite the goals, he never had any real success in his top-flight career. The closest he came was runner-up in the 1994 World Cup, where he chipped in with a couple of assists but didn't play in the final. His only major international tournament due to issues between him and manager Arrigo Sacchi, who often played Signori out of position. The eagle-eyed among you will spot that Signori won the Intertoto Cup in 1998, and to those I would say shut up, it's my list. But I'm not going to say that because that's rude, even though I just did. And instead I'll say that not only was the Intertoto Cup more like a friendly tournament, used more like a qualification for the UEFA Cup, but there was no Intertoto Cup. Winning the tournament won you nothing, as there was no trophy for it. So technically he makes it onto the list as he didn't in fact win any major trophies. He wasn't even able to win any bets after he was arrested in 2011 for a betting scandal, where he was banned from any football related activity for a few years, but the charges were later dropped. But a quality forward who makes it to runner-up on this list. Number 1. Socrates. There could only ever be one number 1 on this list, a guy who many rank as one of the greatest midfielders who ever played in some amazing Brazil squads, was a magician with the ball, South American Player of the Year, named by Pelé in his FIFA 100 list of greatest living players, and named by World Soccer magazine as one of the best 100 footballers in history, and still won the square root of all in his career. Well, that's a little unfair. He won a handful of state championships in Brazil, which is a bit like Chelsea within the West London Championship, but he never won a major honour such as the Brazilian League or Cup. He finished in the top 3 of the Copa America twice, but that's about as close as he came to any trophies with great teams such as Corinthians, Flamengo, Santos, Fiorentina, Botafogo and of course Garforth Town. Yes, you heard right, the 10th level team who he played 12 minutes for as a 50-year-old in 2004. So it must be quite annoying to Socrates that his younger brother Rai won many things in his career, including the World Cup, so I'd love to be sat at the dinner table with them listening on their family conversations. He wasn't only just great with the ball either, he'd been equally as good with medicine, as he was a fully qualified doctor, a career he went back to after his retirement. Although I wouldn't really want him prescribing me any medication, to be honest, not with his luck. It was a bit of a tragedy when he died in 2011 at the relatively young age of 57. Not sure why, all he did was smoke and drink heavily, which he referred to himself when he once said, "I'm an anti-athlete. I cannot deny myself certain lapses from the strict regime of a sportsman. You have to take me as I am," which makes sense, as apparently his warm-up for Garfield Town consists of consuming 2 bottles of Budweiser and 3 cigarettes. And that's my list. Hopefully your smile is as wide as Harry's, look at him. Let me know in the comments below if I've missed someone off and send me loads of abuse for it. Watch one of these, but thanks for watching and see you in the next video.